we need to make sure that we are being honest with ourselves about the violence that's going on right here in Chicago.
Well, Kurt, let me respond. First of all, the word violence means to violate. Dr. Amos Wilson, the great psychiatrist, said it this way. He said, the only way they can destroy the black community is we stop loving each other. So it's very key right now that we call this Leviathan for what it is. People need to recognize that you want to take this and put it under a system. Let me make it real simple and say it real quick. When you pass this legislation, it's going to educate. People need to be educated why violence is a disease, why it ain't a contagion. When you talk about education, you talk about institutional violence that has to be torn apart. America was built on violence. It's an unnecessary force, an unnecessary evil right now. Collaboration. It is very important that collaboration is important. Civility. Don't kill me because you bumped my car because ain't neither one of us got no insurance. Civility. Redirect the funding. People have been written in the budget in this state like a man named Dr. Gary Slocum. Look him up. He's an epidemiologist and other. Written in the budget, receiving violence prevention money, and they can't throw rice in the wedding. You cannot stop violence by marching people down an expressway. You have to scientifically and legislatively come at that. The formula is in place. Now we're pushing for the legislation.
Okay, so over the years, who bears the responsibility for the teaching and the exploitation of violence? In my opinion, I say that when you talk about this government, you talk about the government at large. I mean, where they will tell you that, hey, you don't need to be fighting in your communities, but the first thing that they do when they have an issue, they go kill somebody. Like we went and killed Muammar Gaddafi. So when younger folks see this, then they're like, man, who are you to tell us that we shouldn't be, functioning violently when we have an issue? Because that's exactly what you do as the government.
The paradigm shift has changed. And theologically, the hand of God is at work also, too. Mm-hmm. So I know as a Christian, when I look at, be not conformed, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Dr. King said these words, the role of the church is not to be the servant nor the master to the state, but its consciousness. And so we developed a brand new ministry, Martin Luther King Ministries, Martin Luther King Community Church, appropriate name for this season. And the thrust is to pass this legislation. I want the audience to understand there is a remedy, there's a solution right now. If you pass this bill, HR 0433, violence is a health crisis, violence is a disease, you're going to see a game changer. Yeah. And with legislation, Curtis, comes a pot of resources.
Because my middle name is Curtis, Alan Curtis Green, AC
Well, also, he's the son of a pastor.
He's been knowing me for how many years, 20 years?
Yeah. Father was a great military chaplain, too.
Yeah.
Father was a chaplain in the military.
He knew my dad.
Yeah, what a man. And that's why you got the sense you got. You come from good stock, son.
Well, thank you.
I like the idea of that bill. I like the idea of that bill because if you make it a health crisis, then you have to deal with it from the health perspective.
You do.
Because that goes back to children. I got my son here. He's 7 years old. Never had meat before. Very, very tranquil and peaceful son. But through research, I've discovered that even the consumption of certain foods will create an aggression in you, and also a lack of nutrition will also create a deficiency in your brain that will lead to mental disorder.
Right. And the thing about it is, what we have done in this country, if we be honest with ourselves, we have given up our African roots in terms of how we eat and how we ate. Mm-hmm. And we've taken on this Anglo understanding.
Right.
And this Anglo understanding is like you said, you're ingesting the wrong thing. It makes you wild and crazy and want to fight. Mm-hmm. And we've taken on many and most of their ways. We've become like them. Exactly. We didn't only inherit their names. We have inherited their spirits because of what we have taken on, wanting to be like somebody because they have more. You kind of like want to see yourself doing kind of what we can not want to hear this, but it's so true. Right. Because look at this, like you said, Reverend Anthony Williams, in this country, you cannot say that what happened in the Capitol was an anomaly. Mm-hmm. Because every time this country has moved to another level or to a different dynamic or paradigm, it happened through fighting. The Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation, the freeing of black folks, it happened through fighting. Right. What about the Boston Tea Party?
The shedding of black blood.
Come on now.
Crispus Attucks, the civil rights movement, George Floyd. Now we can get America to get its knee off our neck. Give us reparations and you keep the stimulus check. You keep that $2,000, give me my reparations. So we're there now. So intelligent public policy is what we've got to be leveraging the Biden administration for. And then be careful about our black elected officials,
Come on
because
now.
the Democratic Party will use them to suppress us. So I ain't taking no orders from no black caucus. Look at it. I'm not going to do kumbaya with America till you give me my reparations.
That's right.
And deal with this issue of violence. America was built on violence. Understand
Yeah.
that? Look, violence is the #1 problem of the 21st century, and I will debate it with anyone.
I totally
and
agree with
until
you.
you pass the
Totally agree with
the
you.
legislation to check it, we're going to continue to get what we get.